Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning. Right now at 5, a House divided. Republicans meet to discuss Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has been taken to task for supporting conspiracy theories. And now Congressman Kevin McCarthy is calling out Democrats for sparking more division by moving forward with a vote on Greene's committee assignments. A staggering announcement, 15 new deaths due to COVID-19, making December the deadliest month for the virus yet in Kern County. And Bakersfield City Council members again take out the issue of backyard chickens, leaving some locals, as they say, madder than wet hens. Today is Thursday, February 4th, 2021. Good morning, everyone, and thanks so much for starting your Thursday with us. It is 5 a.m. We just have one more wake up until Friday, which means the weekend is getting even closer. I'm Alex Fisher along with Maddie Jansen. And Maddie, one thing that I'm noticing outside right now, significantly colder, at least here on the valley floor.
Yeah, yesterday, it was chilly for most of the day. In fact, with those clouds hanging around, and I'm gonna feel a little bit like that, I guess, this morning. Let's check in with Kevin and see what we're expecting on this Thursday.
Well, at least you're not seeing the fog like you saw in Tehachapi most of the day yesterday. Yeah, it's definitely a little cooler this morning. We don't have that insulated blanket, the cloud cover that we saw yesterday. We've been able to clear things out pretty much. We do still have a little bit of patchy cloud cover on the west-facing slopes of the Tehachapis right now, so that will continue to burn off as we go throughout the day, and you can see it just to the south east of us. As we take a look at Bakersfield this time, we've got the clear skies for the most part, and a temperature of 40 degrees, a calm wind right now. As we take a look at the day, temperatures are going to rise back into the upper 50s under sunny conditions. And as we take a look at the Tehachapi area, no fog, so that is a good thing this morning. And we've got a temperature of 34 degrees as we take a look at the hour-by-hour forecast today. And you can see we'll rebound into those lower 50s. So a much better day in terms of the cloud cover out of Tehachapi. Just had a hard time burning that fog off, and that fog advisory was in place most of the day, but not expecting that today. I'll have much more in your forecast coming up in just a little bit. For now, back over to you.
All right, thanks, Kev. We begin this morning with the much-anticipated meeting yesterday between House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy and Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's made headlines for supporting conspiracy theories regarding national tragedies. McCarthy said he condemns the rhetoric and conspiracy theories advanced by Greene. Conspiracy theories, which include Greene saying the mass shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School was a false flag planned shooting. She also advanced a conspiracy theory that the 2018 campfire in Northern California was started by Jewish space lasers. She's not apologized publicly. Democrats are calling on the House to strip Greene of her congressional committee assignments. Following the meeting yesterday, McCarthy said in part, "I condemn those comments unequivocally. I condemned them in the past. I continue to condemn them today." The House condemned QAnon last Congress and continues to do so today. The Democrats are choosing to raise the temperature by taking the unprecedented step to further their partisan power grab regarding the committee assignments of the other party. End quote. This as the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee purchased $500,000 worth of ad space targeting Republican House members, including McCarthy.
He refused to punish Marjorie Taylor Greene for the atrocious and dangerous things she said. And instead of punishing Congresswoman Taylor Greene, he rewarded her.
McCarthy also called out Democrats for having members of their party who serve on the Foreign Affairs Committee who have spread anti-Semitic tropes. If you would like to read the full statement, we have it on our website, kget.com. The House has scheduled a vote today on whether to remove Congresswoman Greene from her committee assignments. We'll have more on that in our next half hour here on Sunrise. Meantime, House Republicans voted to retain Liz Cheney as their third highest ranking member, rejecting a push by pro-Trump conservatives to oust her from her position. Cheney was among the 10 House Republicans who voted in favor of the article of impeachment against President Trump for inciting the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol.
We just had a very good conference, members together, but the number one thing that happened at this conference was unity. People were able to air their differences, people were able to focus, and the most important part that came out of this conference was where our focus is at.
NBC News reports the secret ballot among Republican House members to keep Cheney in her current position was 145 to 61.
Here at home, an update on the fight over a hen ordinance in Bakersfield and whether residents should be allowed to raise hens in their backyards. In September, you may remember, the city council approved the chicken ordinance by a 4-3 vote. Less than a month later, an organization called the Citizens for the Preservation of R1 Zones filed a lawsuit claiming the city violated the California Environmental Quality Act. In response, the council voted unanimously to delay implementation of the ordinance pending further study. Last night, the city council revisited it once again, voting 4-3, but this time voting to kill the ordinance entirely. Councilman Bob Smith voted to keep it in place and allow residents to raise hens in their backyards.
And I felt the new council should respect the integrity of the vote and what we had promised to the people. We had promised that we had changed the hen ordinance, and that it went through the public meetings and everybody had their say, and that's where it ended up. But the new council doesn't agree.
Council members Eric Arias and Andre Gonzalez sided with Smith in wanting to keep the ordinance in place. Around the state this morning, the campaign to recall Governor Gavin Newsom is picking up traction, including right here in Kern County. Organizers say they are close to meeting the required number of signatures to qualify for a special recall election. You've probably seen these Recall Gavin Newsom signs around town. It's all part of a larger effort across the state to oust California's top official. Floor Hull is the lead organizer for the Recall Gavin 2020 campaign here in Kern County. She is helping the campaign collect enough voter signatures to get a special recall election on the ballot this year. An election in which voters would be able to decide whether to stay with Newsom for the remainder of his term or go with someone else. So far, organizers say the Recall Newsom campaign has collected 1.3 million signatures. To qualify for a special election, they need roughly 1.5 million by the March 17th deadline.
He's absolutely the worst governor we've ever had. I have a lot of friends that are losing their businesses. He doesn't have a plan. Even the vaccines are not even fast enough that people, don't want, they don't want to wait. It's crazy.
During the summer, Newsom enjoyed a 65% approval rating. But fast forward to now, and a new UC Berkeley poll finds Newsom's approval rating has dropped to 54% statewide. And when you factor in registered voters only, the approval is even lower at 46%. If those backing the recall reach the 1.5 million verified signature threshold by the March 17th deadline, an election would take place.
5:08 your time now, 17 Crime Watch. Kern County Sheriff's deputies arrested 3 men after finding drugs and guns at a home during an investigation. Detectives were investigating a robbery and assault incident at a home on Tierra Verde Street, just a block from Garces High School. Officers had an arrest warrant for Jacob Kephart. After detaining him, they searched the home and found 4 guns, ammunition, and drugs. While they were searching the home, 2 other men arrived and were detained. Detectives say Matthew Bunch and Ryan Whitley were both armed and in possession of drugs. Yesterday morning, Bakersfield police found an unregistered gun in the car of a woman suspected in a DUI crash. Just before 4 o'clock, officers responded to the corner of Union Avenue and East 3rd Street. Police say 34-year-old Karita Anderson drove into a parking lot and crashed into a parked vehicle. When police searched her car, they found the unregistered gun and cocaine base. Anderson was arrested on several charges, including DUI. And in your court watch now, a man charged with murder for allegedly beating another man to death with a tree branch has taken a plea deal. Police reports state that 35-year-old Jesus Reyes admitted to hitting the man with a 5-foot branch in September near Our Lady of Guadalupe Church on East California Avenue. The reports also state that Reyes admitted to using meth and told police he struck the man because he forced women to work as prostitutes and controlled them with drugs. Reyes was sentenced to 15 years to life.
It has now been 45 days since 3-year-old Orson and 4-year-old Orrin West were reported missing in California City. Police say they have found nothing that points to where the boys could be. The chief of police says his department has received around 2,500 tips, and they followed up on every one of them. The biological family of the boys held a candlelight vigil Tuesday night. Dozens came from all over the state to pray and plan search parties. If you have any information on where the boys could be, call the California City Police Department. That number is 760-373-8606.
Welcome back here at 5:19 and making news around the nation this morning. Another successful launch for SpaceX. The company's Falcon 9 rocket lifted off from Cape Canaveral early this morning, carrying about 60 Starlink satellites with it.
Ignition and liftoff.
The company created the Starlink program to connect users around the globe and bring affordable internet to remote parts of the world. Today's launch brings the number of Starlink satellites in orbit to more than 1,000. The company is planning to launch more satellites tomorrow morning. Liftoff time is approximately 5:14 Eastern time.
In sports news now, a 3-person mom and pop shop in Independence, Missouri was tasked with a huge challenge, adding the Super Bowl 55 patches to the Kansas City Chiefs game jerseys. Reporter John Batten has a look.
It was nip and tuck for the 3 women working at this crowded little seamstress shop. It was clearly time for them to bring their A game.
They have to stay on the curves.
My mom specializes in sewing patches on. These are very intricate. So mom has to measure, mark, pin, stitch. Hopefully it stitches on correctly. Take them off if it's not quite perfect.
The reason for their high standards? Well, they always strive for perfection, but this particular order is special.
It gives me chills. The Chiefs are my favorite team.
That's right. They were tasked with sewing on these patches for the 55th Super Bowl onto more than 80 game jerseys for the defending champion Kansas City Chiefs.
And yes, it is exciting just to know that these are actually the game jerseys.
That's our top priority.
While the brush with greatness is exciting, they also are grateful for the work in these tough times.
I think it's very thrilling for us to be able to do that for them, and I really appreciate them using a small business.
The work was so intricate and time-consuming, they went into overtime, I guess you could say. But then there was the handoff.
We got them done.
And off they go to glory.
KGET Business Watch is brought to you by Grapevine MSP Technology Services, the Valley's leading IT service provider.
Welcome back to your 17 Business Watch. It is 5:24 and Valentine's Day is just 10 days away. So maybe it's time to start thinking about outside the heart-shaped box of chocolates. The Maine Lobster Marketing Collaborative is unveiling the first ever Maine Lobster Tail Bouquet. Maine Lobster Tail Bouquet kits are available to be shipped nationwide. Each do-it-yourself bouquet kit comes with 4 or 6 tails harvested and shipped from Maine and accessories to style your bouquet, including skewers, festive wax paper, a burlap wrap, and an original Maine lobster Valentine tag. 64% of pet parents are interested in giving their pet a Valentine's gift this year. That's doubled from previous years, according to a recently conducted survey by Stella and Chewy. Pets are the 3rd most popular potential recipient of a gift this upcoming Valentine's Day, trailing only significant others and children or grandchildren. According to the survey, 80% of pet parents plan to stay home to celebrate Valentine's Day, which might explain why pets are expected to play a bigger role in the holiday this year.
You probably don't spend much time underneath your car, but according to CNBC's Jane Wells, it may be the target for thieves who are interested in a certain part that can bring a big buck on the black market.
The underbelly of your car has gotten a lot more valuable. This is a catalytic converter. The exhaust comes out of the engine. It's cleaned up through here before it goes out the muffler. But increasingly, this is what people are seeing. The converter has been cut out, stolen in the middle of the night by thieves. It happened to Brian Coughlin. Last Christmas Eve, Coughlin went to run errands in his Prius, so he turned on the car.
And then there was a loud rumbling noise in the car.
It sounded more like this.
That's how you know it got stolen.
Across the country, catalytic converter thefts have shot up. The reason? There are precious metals inside which have become more valuable, especially with tougher emission standards. Rhodium in particular is up 800% since March to nearly $20,000 an ounce.
We had, just in the sheriff's jurisdiction alone, in the last year, over 230 catalytic converter thefts. And that's how they do it, zoom, zoom, and done.
Mechanic Walt Moorhead says converters for some car models are on back order and replacing them is expensive.
But what you have to replace is everything here all the way back. You can't just get this piece.
What's it going to cost this customer?
This one is going to be close to $3,000.
It also happens to the same person repeatedly. So I've been a little concerned about that.
Some car owners are now buying special plates to try and prevent theft. Brian Coughlin is not, yet.
I'm not going to sit out with a shotgun, each night watching my car, and that's why you pay insurance.
Beyond the precious metals, the thefts are creating market demand for more catalytic converters. So if someone says they can get you one for under $1,000, it may belong to someone else. For CNBC Business News, I'm Jane Wells in Newbury Park, California. Buying special plates to try and prevent theft. Brian Coughlin is not, yet.
I'm not going to sit out with a shotgun, each night watching my car, and that's why you pay insurance.
Beyond the precious metals, the thefts are creating market demand for more catalytic converters. So if someone says they can get you one for under $1,000, it may belong to someone else. For CNBC Business News, I'm Jane Wells in Newbury Park, California.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.